just wanted to give a quick update on the Sega Genesis XBAND keyboard project. I've been working with a guy in Argentina who wrote a test ROM that just outputs the scan code of whatever key you press on the keyboard. And with that I was able to go through and just press every key and document what each key actually does. I have that up and running here, and when I press keys it will just output the scan code in hex. It's actually outputting the entire data packet that the keyboard is sending. Each data packet, if it begins with 00, that means that it's scan code data that it's sending, so that's why everything starts with 00 followed by the actual scan code. So if I press the letter A, the AT scan code for the letter A is 1C, and as you can see it's outputting 1C as expected. The keyboard also handles typomatic repeats, so if I hold a key for about 1/8 of a second, it'll begin sending the same scan code over and over. So the keyboard itself handles all that. The letters and numbers don't send any break codes, meaning if I press a key and then release it, it doesn't send a separate scan code saying that the key has been released. However, some of the other keys do, like Shift and Caps Lock, for instance. When I press Shift, the scan code for Shift is 12, and then when I release it, it sends a scan code of F012, like that. And then Caps Lock also sends a break code, so it sends 58 and then F058 when I release it. Something else that's interesting is that all these blank keys along the top, they send scan codes as well. So the one in the far left up here, it outputs 01. It does not have a break code. Then going across the top to the right, you can see it outputs 01, 02, etc. up through 09, then 0A, B, and C. And then the next one, which is the fourth to the right, it outputs 17, and then it has a break code of F017. The next one is 18, 19, and 1F. These red XBAND logo keys on the right and the left, they output non-standard scan codes, which they're not typical AT scan codes. The one on the left outputs 80 with a break code of F080, and then the one on the right outputs 81. There's also these control keys on either side of the spacebar. They both output the same scan code of 14, the break code of F014. Lastly, we have these red Start A, B, and C keys over here. And when I was reading through the XBAND ROM source code, it actually mentioned in the section where these simulate, a standard Genesis controller, and the source code was commented and it mentioned the Alt key. And so you can see the keyboard doesn't have any key labeled Alt, but it turns out this blank key in the lower left is actually Alt. It outputs 11, which is the AT scan code for Alt. So it outputs 11 with a break code of F011. And yeah, it turns out when you press this red A over here, it's actually just sending the same scan codes that would be sent if you were to hold Alt and press the normal letter A over here. So you can see Alt is 11, the letter A is 1C. Now if I press the red A over here, it sends 111C with a break code of F01C, F011 when it's released. So when you're in the XBAND menus and stuff, you can actually hold Alt and press A, and that'll do the same thing as using these red ones over here. Also, the red Start button, that's the same as pressing Alt and the normal letter S on the keyboard. So I thought that was kind of funny. These keys don't do any kind of controller hardware simulation or anything like that. It's just sending Alt A, Alt B, and Alt S, and then the XBAND ROM firmware is just written in a way where it says, oh, if it receives Alt and A at the same time, then do whatever you do if you were pressing A on a Genesis controller. But yeah, that's about it. This test ROM is also reading input at 60 hertz, so the keyboard's actually a lot more responsive in this than it would be in the normal XBAND interface. Something that we still need to figure out is how to get these lights in the upper right working properly. That's the numlock, caps lock, and scroll lock lights. So far we have not figured out how to get those to light up yet via software. It's actually the software that controls whether or not they're lit up. So just pressing the caps lock key, all this does is send a unique scan code, but it doesn't affect the lights or anything over here. Another issue is that with this test ROM, if you start the test ROM up and you already have the keyboard connected, the test ROM won't recognize that the keyboard's plugged in. You actually have to start the ROM first and then connect the keyboard while it's already running for whatever reason. So still a few things we need to figure out, but we're definitely making progress there. Lastly, I've also been working with a guy who is going to make some hardware USB to Genesis keyboard adapters, and he got some schematics and stuff sent out to a fab shop in China, and it's going to take about 4 weeks for those to get back to him. But once we get those, we should be able to build an actual adapter that will simulate this keyboard, which will be cool. Still am deciding on whether I want to take the keyboard apart and look at the inside. That might help us solve a few of these remaining issues we're having. There's just 3 screws that hold it together at the top. Here, here, and here. I'm not sure if there's some plastic clips on the inside of it or anything. Certainly don't want to break it, so I'm holding off on that for as long as possible. But yeah, that's about it. Been talking about a keyboard again for 7 minutes here, so yeah, later.